Hi, I'm Marcus, a sports therapist and STOTTPILATES instructor. In today's video, we will explain to you some of the frequently asked questions, the 5 basic principles, and proceed by teaching you some of the simple beginner's Pilates movements to help you kickstart your Pilates journey with us. If you like this video, please click the like button and turn on the notifications for more videos like this. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Do reach out to us at this number to schedule a complimentary consultation trial with us. Before we begin, let's get to know what is Pilates. Pilates is a low-impact mind and body connection exercise aimed to strengthen muscles while improving postural alignment and flexibility. It is an exercise system developed by Joseph Pilates in the early 20th century. He called his method Contrology before renaming it as Pilates. Pilates can be done on just a mat or on specialized Pilates equipments that you can find in a Pilates studio. Who can do Pilates? Pilates is for everyone, men, women, young or old, regardless of your physical ability. Who teaches Pilates? Certified or qualified Pilates instructors who are trained to program and modify the exercises based on your physical strength and postural alignment to be suitable and specific for your need. Pilates is recognized worldwide. Many of athletes practice Pilates to improve performance and prevent injuries. Apart from fitness Pilates, if you are suffering from injuries and pain, there is also rehab or physio Pilates that you can choose to do at our studio as a treatment-based exercise. Let's start with the 5 basic principles. These 5 principles will help you to improve your awareness and make you to understand how your body should move correctly when you perform an exercise to be safe and effective. The first principle is breathing, followed by pelvic placement, ribcage placement, scapular or shoulder blade movement and stabilisation, and lastly, head and cervical or neck placement. The first principle is breathing. Begin with sitting cross-legged on the mat. Make sure you're sitting tall, with no tension on your lower back and hip joints. Try to breathe in through the nose and breathe out gently through pursed lips. When you're inhaling, focus on expanding the lungs 3-dimensionally, through the front, sides, and back. Focus on breathing at the bottom part of the lungs. This will help you improve oxygenation and keep the neck and shoulder tension free. When you're breathing out, gently lift the pelvic floor muscles off the mat and gently engaging your transverse abdominal muscles. It feels like the tightening of the waistline as the muscle engage. Let's move on to the second principle, pelvic placement. We will be practicing 2 pelvic positions, neutral and imprint. Let's lie down on your mat, bend the knees. You may want to put a towel underneath your head to release the neck tension. Let's start with rocking your pelvic back and forth a few times and find a sweet spot without tension. That is your neutral pelvic. To find your imprint, engage your oblique muscles and you will notice the pelvis will tilt towards you naturally as the muscle engage. Imprint helps you to provide more support to the lumbopelvic region. As a beginner, you may want to start with imprinting the pelvic during exercises to avoid straining the lower back muscles. The next principle is ribcage placement. Our ribcage is very mobile, thus it is crucial to learn how to stabilize the ribcage in order to keep the spine in neutral when you perform overhead movements. Now simply lift your arms overhead like this. Do you notice your ribcage is popping forward and your back is arching? Let's return to the static position again, and this time engage your oblique muscles and gently lift the arms overhead. You might notice you won't be able to lift as much as before, but it's okay, because stability is more important than mobility. Next, we have scapular movement and stabilization. Scapula can do 3 pairs of movement. The first pair, elevation and depression. The second pair of movements are protraction and retraction. The last pair of movements are upward and downward rotation. Stabilization of scapula is important. Remember not to practice rigidity in your movements as it will cause impingement. The fifth and last principle is head and cervical placement. Our head is heavy and you may stabilize the head by doing a gentle head nod. The key point of this principle is the head and neck always continue the line of the thoracic spine and your gaze is always perpendicular to your face. The human body is made up of a pendicular and axial skeleton. It is important to keep the middle steady to allow the limbs to move properly. The body moves in 4 directions in our day-to-day movements: forward bending, backward bending, side movements, and rotations. Congrats! You have completed learning STOTT Pilates basic principles. Keep all the principles in mind and start to apply them in your exercises. Now that we've completed the 5 basic principles, Yvonne will be teaching you some simple beginner's Pilates exercises.
Hi, I'm Yvonne, a physiotherapist and STOTT Pilates instructor trainer. Now that you have learned all the 5 basic principles of STOTT Pilates taught by Marcus, we're going to apply all the principles into the next 5 simple exercises involving all 4 planes of movement of the spine. We have flexion, which is bending forward, extension, arching of the spine. Then you have lateral flexion, which is side bending, and also rotation of the spine.
Our first exercise is oblique roll back. Keep your feet and knee in hip distance apart, your ribcage, pelvis and your head in one long line. If you are feeling tension over the hips or the lower back area, place a cushion underneath your sit bone to elevate the surface. You can do this with a folded towel as well. Remember to keep it lengthwise so you have space to roll back. So now that you are feeling more comfortable, you may start by reaching your arms forward. So the movement is inhale to stay, exhale to roll back, and inhale to come back up. So you're going to do this alternately, repeat with both sides. So watch out how my gaze is following my fingers here, and you don't want to tense up your shoulders when you do this movement. So look at the pelvis, they are doing this scooping back movement. My quads, my obliques are engaged here, my head is on top of the shoulder. Then you're going to add in a rotation movement by working on the obliques. So as I roll back, I also watch out to not shift the lower body, keep my pelvis stable and the knees are not supposed to scissor like what I'm doing here. So this is obliques work, which is your abdominal workout, and you should be feeling it on your abdominal muscles. Remember to engage your inner thigh muscles to keep your lower body stable here. Next exercise is swimming prep. Your hands will be directly under the shoulders, knees directly under the hips, and you don't want to drop your chest down like this. Keep pushing your chest away from the ground and make sure the head is in line with the spine. Do not round or arch your back here and keep it in neutral throughout by engaging your obliques muscles. Once you are ready in neutral spine, you can reach out the opposite arm and the legs to start with. You may take an inhale to prepare and exhale to extend your hip and the shoulder. Leave your arms and the legs off at the same time. Remember not to arch your back like what I'm doing here. Keep it in neutral throughout. So you are working on your obliques muscle once again to keep your spine neutral in the air. Your gaze are looking straight down all the time. And once you have done both sides, you may sit on the heel and do a short stretch for a quick recovery. Next exercise is squat. You may start with your feet hip distance apart, keep it parallel, ribcage on top of the pelvis, head in the center of the shoulder, and as you squat, you want to keep the parallel alignment without collapsing the knee inwards or outwards like this. If you are having pain at your knee joint when you do that, you may turn your toes out slightly, keep your feet slightly wider, and as you squat, remember to still keep it parallel without collapsing the knee inwards. This is the right way. Now let's move on to side view, and you want to start with a neutral spine. Everything stacked up in one long line, your arms are by the side here, and as you squat, you may reach your arm forward like what I'm doing here without tensing up the shoulders. So watch out, as I squat, my knees are not going forward than the toes, they stay on top of the toes, and I don't want to round my spine like this here. You want to work on your back muscles to keep your spine neutral and the head is in the center as well. You are working on your quadriceps, your hip extensors and your abdominal muscles in this exercise. As you squat, you want to maintain a parallel alignment of your shin and also your spine. And you want to make sure the weight is even on the heels, your great toe and your little toes as you do that. Now you can also use the chair as your feedback, make sure they are stable. I like to sit on the chair first just to gauge the distance. Then you're going to stand up straight and try to squat again. If you are doing it with the chair, you may think of reaching to the back and sit on the chair as you squat. Next exercise is push-up. For push-up, starting position, you may start in 4-point kneeling and then shift your knee to the back slightly. You can keep your knees together or slightly apart. Make sure you are not dropping your chest towards the ground like what I'm doing here. Keep pushing your chest away so you engage your serratus anterior. Do not arch your back like what I'm doing as well, and think of slight imprint to maintain a neutral pelvis. Keep your neutral alignment. Take an inhale to bend your elbow lower down towards the ground and exhale to straighten your elbow, push yourself away from the ground. I'm doing this in a staggered version to work on my control and endurance. Feel free to do a smooth bending and straightening of the elbow as well. Once you have achieved stability through half push-up, you can extend the knees and do a full push-up. Watch out for all the spinal mount alignment one more time. Maintain this straight line as you bend and straighten your elbow. This is a very challenging exercise because you are literally moving just the elbow and the shoulder joint while keeping other joints stabilized. Next, we have Mermaid in kneeling. Keep your knees hip distance apart, ribcage on top of the pelvis, and head in between both shoulders, arm by the side. Take an inhale to lift up the arms and exhale to reach your spine to one side. Inhale to lengthen back to vertical and exhale just to lower down the arms. Then you can repeat this with the other side. As you lift out the arms, watch out you are not tensing up the shoulder and the neck muscles. Keep them stabilized. As you do the side flexion, be aware you are not pushing your hip to one side. Keep your weight even on both knees. Watch out for ribcage shifting like this. It's a side flexion at the spine, so think of sliding the arms towards the ground while keeping the weight even on both knees. Keep your spine long throughout. Think of going up and over through the spine without losing your height. Now, let's look at the side view. This is a coronal plane movement, meaning it's just a pure side bending. You don't want to have any rotation, rounding, or extension of the spine. You should be keeping the straight alignment from side view as well without forward head. What I meant about rotation is this: do not rotate the ribcage or the pelvis. Imagine you are stuck in between two pieces of glass and you can only move sideways. Commonly, you can see this. The ribcage are popping forward, the pelvis are not in neutral. So remember, think of imprint. So your glutes, your hamstring, your obliques muscles are engaging to keep that neutral, beautiful alignment throughout.
With that, we have come to the end of Pilates for Beginners English version. Do check out our channels for Pilates for Beginners in Bahasa Malaysia, Mandarin and also Tamil version. I hope you have fun learning about STOTT Pilates 5 basic principles today, and remember to apply them in all your exercises to make sure that your exercise is safe and effective for you. If you have any questions, do reach out to us and we will try to assist you as soon as we can. Stay safe and I'll see you soon.